and with the support of the German government, the support of private sponsors, I think it is possible to demonstrate what we have as goal and to show the world that humans have not only the capability to make a species extinct, human society has also the capability to bring a nearly extinct species back to life.
My name is James Mwenda. Worked in Ol Pejeta as a ranger and a rhino caretaker for nearly 10 years. And now I am Ol Pejeta's global brand ambassador. My job as a ranger was an inspiration that I've had since I was a very young kid, because of the human-wildlife conflict that I experienced growing up in my village. And I knew that I needed to do something to protect my community and as well protect the elephants that would come and ravage our entire farms. And working in Ol Pejeta for nearly 10 years as a rhino caretaker and as a ranger is one of the most risky jobs I've ever done in my career. It's a job that requires one to have a lot of patience, is a job that requires one to have a lot of commitment, a job that requires a lot of bravery to go out in the field every day to monitor and keep the animals that Ol Pejeta Conservancy home, but most precisely rhinos, which have been our key focus here in Ol Pejeta for the role they play in giving us a hope to continue protecting the entire ecosystem. And rangers are an integral part for this success. Ol Pejeta now is the largest black rhino sanctuary in Eastern Central Africa. The commitment of these men and women who wake up very early in the morning at 6 every day to go out in the bush and monitor rhinos, record their whereabouts, their health, and the activity every day, which informs the decisions and the security that needs to be implemented, is a very rewarding job. And I feel humbled to have been part of that team. And now, as an ambassador, I really want to encourage all of us to continue supporting these rangers and making sure that their welfare and their well-being is looked after, so that they can continue protecting these animals and keeping our environment safe in all different aspects.
My name is Paul Tereson. I'm a sergeant in K9 unit. So K9 unit is working with canines. Those are dogs, and we were working inside here, and we help our neighboring community. That's our surrounding community. Those are local community around here. So these dogs, they are doing great work. So there are those who are being deployed following the rhinos at the park, and we have dogs that, and the same time, the same dogs that are doing work at community. They help community in case of any theft, any livestock theft, any house breakages or shops breakage, and we help community the same time working inside here, and that's one way of sending message to those poachers out there and those thieves who are disturbing community.
Biorescue is a conservation project from a totally new dimension. It was such approach was never done. We have to be so radical implementing stem cell technology and extremely advanced assisted reproduction, because we have only 2 females left and both females are infertile. So it is really impossible to use a classical conservation approach, because practically the northern white rhino is extinct. But with this approach, we were already capable to generate many first-grade embryos, which then could be transplanted into southern white rhinos, and then we would have a new population of northern white rhinos, which could be taught by Najin and Fatu how to behave as a northern white rhino. Parallel, we're working with biomaterial which was collected over the last 30 years, which is stored in biobanks in San Diego and at our institute, which represents a lot of genetic diversity. So by using the in vitro gametogenesis, that means we make in a test tube sperm and eggs and bring that also into the program, we have a very fair chance to establish a population which is healthy from the gene aspect, which can be reintroduced to the wild. And having this as a concept, we can easily use it as a blueprint for the Sumatran rhino, for example, which is not doing well either. So Biorescue, I think, is a really important project to demonstrate that science can really make a difference. And together with our collaborators here in Kenya, I think we made much more progress than we expected in the beginning, and it is really important to beat the time, because we have these 2 older females and we have to be successful in the next years. So I think we are on a very good way, and with the support of the German government, the support of private sponsors, I think it is possible to demonstrate what we have as goal and to show the world that humans have not only the capability to make a species extinct, human society has also the capability to bring a nearly extinct species back to life.
My name is James Mwenda. Worked in Ol Pejeta as a ranger and a rhino caretaker for nearly 10 years. And now I am Ol Pejeta's global brand ambassador. My job as a ranger was an inspiration that I've had since I was a very young kid, because of the human-wildlife conflict that I experienced growing up in my village. And I knew that I needed to do something to protect my community and as well protect the elephants that would come and ravage our entire farms. And working in Ol Pejeta for nearly 10 years as a rhino caretaker and as a ranger is one of the most risky jobs I've ever done in my career. It's a job that requires one to have a lot of patience, is a job that requires one to have a lot of commitment, a job that requires a lot of bravery to go out in the field every day to monitor and keep the animals that Ol Pejeta Conservancy home, but most precisely rhinos, which have been our key focus here in Ol Pejeta for the role they play in giving us a hope to continue protecting the entire ecosystem. And rangers are an integral part for this success. Ol Pejeta now is the largest black rhino sanctuary in Eastern Central Africa. The commitment of these men and women who wake up very early in the morning at 6 every day to go out in the bush and monitor rhinos, record their whereabouts, their health, and their activity every day, which informs the decisions and the security that needs to be implemented, is a very rewarding job. And I feel humbled to have been part of that team. And now, as an ambassador, I really want to encourage all of us to continue supporting these rangers and making sure that their welfare and their well-being is looked after, so that they can continue protecting these animals and keeping our environment safe in all different aspects.
My name is Paul Tereson. I'm a sergeant in K9 unit. So K9 unit is working with canines, those are dogs, and we are working inside here, and we help our neighboring community, that's our surrounding community, those are local community around here. So these dogs, they are doing great work. So there are those who are being deployed following the rhinos at the park, and we have dogs that, and the same time, the same dogs that are doing work at community. They help community in case of any theft, any livestock theft, any house breakages or shops breakage, and we help community the same time working inside here, and that's one way of sending message to those poachers out there and those thieves who are disturbing community.
Biorescue is a conservation project from a totally new dimension. It was such approach was never done. We have to be so radical implementing stem cell technology and extremely advanced assisted reproduction, because we have only 2 females left and both females are infertile. So it is really impossible to use a classical conservation approach, because practically the northern white rhino is extinct. But with this approach, we were already capable to generate many first-grade embryos, which then could be transplanted into southern white rhinos, and then we would have a new population of northern white rhinos, which could be taught by Najin and Fatu how to behave as a northern white rhino. Parallel, we're working with biomaterial which was collected.
Yeah. Before we commence the Global Gala for Rhinos, please can I ask all our guests in the auditorium to switch off your mobile phones or to silent. Thank you. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Global Gala for Rhinos on this World Rhino Day. To open our event, would you please welcome to the stage His Excellency Ambassador Kiari Kamera, Deputy Head of Mission at the Kenya High Commission.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, hamujambo. Hamujambo tena? That is Swahili. It means, how are you? I'm greatly honored and pleased to be with you on this auspicious occasion. It is exciting to join you all conservation enthusiasts to commemorate the 10th anniversary of Helping Rhinos, the noble partnership between the Helping Rhino organization based in the UK and the Ol Pejeta Conservancy of Kenya, the home of the largest population of black rhinos in East and Central Africa, and the last 2 northern white rhinos in the world. First and foremost, I wish to underscore that the government of Kenya has undertaken deliberate efforts to set up institutions and to strengthen human capacity, mandated with the critical role of wildlife conservation, human-wildlife conflict management, creation of conservation awareness, resource mobilization, management of wildfires, wildlife translocation, wildlife census, species and ecosystem monitoring, veterinary services, and enhancement of wildlife security. In light of the above strategies, I wish to note that our internal assessment reflects an 85% reduction in rhino poaching since 2017, and it is predicted to increase by the end of this year compared to 2013, when poaching was at its peak. Nevertheless, despite the outstanding accomplishments, there are still certain persistent administrative challenges that are not specific to Kenya. Kenya is cognizant of the inextricable linkages between wildlife conservation and tourism. In light of the shifting demography of visitors to Kenya, we appreciate the strategic partnership with the key stakeholders the corporate sector, and other pertinent associations to diversify our tourism sector. Additionally, the Kenya government has been able to profile key destinations recommendable for diverse demographic to appreciate the culture and heritage, the adventure, and sample luxurious hospitality, wellness, and culinary and arts. Kenya is still regarded as the home of the first safari. Over 45 national parks, reserves, sanctuaries, and more than 100 conservancies are open to visitors, with Ol Pejeta being one of them and promising an equal and magical experience like no other. Travelers are welcome to experience the heartbeat of every destination and appreciate the collective effort of both government, key stakeholders, and local community in wildlife conservation that will enrich your experience as you explore the vast and rich ecosystem, the various wildlife, some migratory species from across the continent, all peacefully coexisting. Additional activities include, but are not limited to, kite surfing in Lamu, the Masai Mara Wildebeest migration in late October and November, that is a must. Humpback whale viewing, yoga sunset in Matamu, the Nairobi National Park, wilderness in the city, village bike experiences in Diani, among many others. I wish to assure you that Kenya tourism sector has developed tourism and hospitality protocols on health and safety to mitigate the effects of the disruption caused by coronavirus disease in business and people's livelihoods. Actors in the tourism sector have therefore, through adoption of these protocols, taken the responsibility of ensuring that destination Kenya is safe travel destination. In addition, to reassure you of Kenyans' general tranquility, peace and security post the 22 general elections, in contrast to previous election cycles. In conclusion, I wish to note that there exist so many pockets of paradise in Kenya. Therefore, if you are thinking of a safari, then you are thinking of magical Kenya. Karibu and welcome to the magic. Asanteni sana.
Ambassador, thank you for those inspiring words that I'm sure put many of us wanting to get on a plane to Kenya just as soon as we can. So thank you, and thank you for giving up your time to be with us here this evening. We really appreciate it. For those who don't know me, my name is Simon Jones. I'm the founder and CEO of Helping Rhinos. And I'm afraid I have to start with some sad and perhaps slightly disappointing news. You may have been expecting to see Daryl Pleasance and the anti-poaching dogs on stage later. Unfortunately, Daryl had some unforeseen personal circumstances that meant he couldn't be here tonight. But don't worry, because we have some exclusive film from Ol Pejeta coming up later on instead. And Hetal Ganatra, who's the CEO of Ol Pejeta UK, will be joining us on stage as well. So as the ambassador was speaking, I was thinking, you know, what a special place, not just in Africa, but in the world, Kenya is. And it's something I've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks, in particular, since Her Majesty the Queen passed away. Many of you will know that the Queen was in Kenya when her father died and she ascended to the throne. So Kenya was a place I know was very passionate, the Queen was very passionate about, and she was equally passionate about protecting nature and being in nature. So I can't think of a better way of honoring her record-breaking 70 years on the throne than doing all that we can to ensure we are protecting the world's wild spaces for future generations. Now, as I stand here today, it's hard to believe that it's over 10 years since the rhino Tandy was poached. So Tandy was a rhino who I'd met 2 years previously at the Kariega Game Reserve in South Africa. And it was that incident that made me think enough was enough, and I needed to do something to help protect these amazing, majestic animals. So for the next section of the event, what I'd like to do is play a film for you, which is looking back at the first 10 years of Helping Rhinos and looking forward to what our goals and our vision are for the future of rhinos and for all wildlife on our planet. So enjoy the film.
One terrible night in March 2012, 3 poachers made their way here, to Koreka Game Reserve, and unfortunately 3 rhinos fell victim to their horrendous activities. The first male was found dead, the second died 24 days later.
Leaving just one female who was actually found on the very spot that I'm standing now. Nobody thought she would survive. Her injuries were so severe, and yet 10 years on, she's not only thriving, but she's mothered 4 calves as well. What an incredible thing that is. But utterly heartbreaking was that footage, which spread all around the world. And Simon Jones from the UK, who had previously volunteered here on the reserve, was so gut-wrenched by what he saw that he knew he had to do something. So he set up Helping Rhinos to help protect these animals forevermore.
I had a kind of a passion for wanting to get involved with wildlife in their natural habitat and protecting that, and you know, the rhino has always been close to my heart. We started from a blank piece of paper, really, not quite knowing what direction Helping Rhinos would go in, and yet here we are a decade later. We've raised over £2.25 million. We've got our headquartered offices in the UK, we've got offices in the US and now in the Netherlands as well. I'm incredibly proud of what we've achieved, and most importantly what we've managed to do to help keep rhinos safe and protected in their natural habitat.
Through the dedicated work of Helping Rhinos, crucial funds have been raised to support and action the vital work on the ground. From the increase of anti-poaching units, including the Eyes in the Sky programme, to the Black Mambas, an all-female team who are stopping poachers in their tracks. Working alongside local communities helps to provide employment and empowerment while strengthening rhino populations. With the building of a new school comes a new generation of people who will protect their land and the wildlife within it. With your support, Helping Rhinos have aided those at the front line of conservation over the last 10 years. Veterinary and ecological teams are active 24/7 to protect, rescue and monitor rhinos, and a rhino orphanage gives orphans a second chance before being translocated to a new and wild home. There is a lot more that still needs to be done if future generations are able to see rhinos living in the wild and not just on the pages of a history book. Helping Rhinos partners with incredible individuals and organisations to create and protect rhino strongholds, areas of habitat that will be protected in perpetuity and allow the rhinos and all other wildlife to thrive. These landscapes will play a key role in addressing biodiversity loss and climate change through the creation of healthy ecosystems.
As we move into the next decade and beyond, we will and we have to achieve success in terms of this rewilding and restoring of wild spaces. And that's very much looking at a holistic approach to rhino conservation. So we're looking at making sure we're still keeping rhinos safe, the security, the protection, all the stuff we've been doing focusing on the last 10 years, anti-poaching work, etc. And we need to work at rewilding and restoring this habitat if rhinos and other endangered wildlife have a future on our planet.
It's clear to see just how much success Helping Rhinos have had over the last 10 years. It's difficult to say exactly the number of rhinos that have directly benefited, but I think it's easy to say there's been quite a few. And whilst it's important that we look back and reflect on the past and realise how far we've come, it's really critical that we look forward to the future as we think about projects involving range expansion and rhino strongholds.
Together we can and will make a difference so that orphans like Leko have a safe future. Get involved and show your support by visiting our website.
So a big thank you to Megan McCubbin for giving up her time to make that film for us. Those of you here last year will know that Megan was stood on this stage, and unfortunately work commitments meant she couldn't be with us this year. She's promised she'll be back next year, however. So actually, when I watched that film back, I still get slightly emotional when I take time to think and reflect around everything that we have achieved over the first 10 years that Helping Rhinos has been here. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you, because without your support, we could have achieved nothing that we've managed to do in the last 10 years. So a big thank you to everyone here. Let me start with a few specific thank yous today, though. Firstly, to our headline sponsor, ITS, who once again came to our support when we really needed it the most this year. So a big thank you to Matt and his team. Some of the team, Greg and Dan, are with us in London this evening. A big thank you to WPS. Those of you with us in London, I hope you had the opportunity to try out the virtual reality headsets that WPS have given us for this evening. If you haven't, then I really would encourage you to go back into the reception rooms afterwards and try them out. You literally have rhinos almost running over your toes, or lion cubs going nose to nose as they get very inquisitive. So it really is bringing Africa into the heart of London, so do try that out. And also to Peril Wine Cellar. They provided the wine that you were enjoying if you were here with us in London at the reception. And also they've got a wine tasting table, which is definitely well worth checking out. And also to everyone who's donated items to our auction. There's far too many of you to name now, or we'll be here till next week. But it amazes me every year, the generosity that people donate items. It helps us raise money that allows us to do what we do. But you'll be hearing much more about the auction later on. And to the teams of both Helping Rhinos and Ol Pejeta, who have worked tirelessly over the last few weeks and months to put this event on, especially Adam Dadswell, who's given up his time again, who sat at the back of the auditorium here. He's in charge of all the technical aspects, so without him, we wouldn't have the technical aspects that we have tonight. So thank you, team. And as I say, thank you to all of you. Whether this is the first time you're joining us, or whether I recognize many familiar faces that have probably been with us over the best part of the last decade. So a big thank you to all of you. We've achieved so much over the last 10 years, so much at a time when poaching has decimated the rhino populations. So in the 10 years that Helping Rhinos has been going, South Africa alone has lost 8,500 rhinos to poachers. But it's with immense pride I can stand here today and say that over the last 3 years, at Helping Rhinos project locations, we've only lost 2 rhinos to poaching. So that's... Thank you. Yeah, it's a statement that makes me very proud, and as our supporters, I hope it makes you equally proud. So we've proved that we can achieve success, but there's an awful lot more to do before we can stand here and say that the rhino is safe. A recent report published by IUCN and Traffic really highlighted the fact that now is not the time we can afford to take our foot off the pedal. That report was looking at the population of rhinos between 2018 and the start of 2021. And amazingly, because I just give you the stat about our projects, but actually the global rhino population is in decline. So that means over that period of time, there were less rhinos living on our planet in their natural habitat than there were just a couple of years beforehand. And take the white rhino, for example. The white rhinos, the most numerous rhino species left on our planet, their population decreased by 12% over that period. Okay, the Sumatran rhino decreased by 13%, making it the Sumatran now the least number of rhinos of any species that there are left on the planet. So you don't have to be a mathematician to be able to work out that that trend is just not sustainable if we want to keep having rhinos surviving in our world. Looking at poaching specifically, there was some relatively good news in the report that said traditional poaching hotspots like Kruger National Park look finally to be getting a little bit on top of their poaching problem, and we've seen that number consistently go down. But personally, what worries me is we're just seeing that problem move from one location to another. So KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, in the first 6 months of last year, lost 33 rhinos to poaching. In the first 6 months of this year, they lost 133. So that's a 400% increase that is putting KwaZulu-Natal now on track to have their worst ever year for poaching. But it isn't just poaching. Loss of habitat is as big a threat to the future of rhino. Now, personally, I think that's an even bigger threat than poaching as we look forward. So, you know, in Africa, for example, we're chopping down 4 million hectares of forest every single year. So if we put that into perspective, it's the equivalent of 5.5 million football pitches of pristine wildlife habitat that we are losing every single year. And that's just on the African continent. So it sounds all very doom and gloom, and it highlights that there is still so much more that we have to do. But we've proved that together we can, and we have achieved success. As I said earlier, our concerted conservation efforts are delivering results in some areas. So I talked about the white rhino and a 12% decrease in population. The other African species, the black rhino, has actually increased its population over that period of time. So their numbers now have gone from 5,495 up to 6,192. So it proves that we can have success, and that if we have concerted focus and we work together, as Helping Rhinos and Ol Pejeta have been doing for the last 10 years, then we can achieve success. We have, with your support, we have saved the lives of hundreds of animals that would have been added to those statistics, and we have protected thousands of hectares of habitat. So it's important that we continue with the work that we're doing. And to give you an example of some of our successes over the last 10 years, we have been working with Ol Pejeta, and we were able to provide for them the mobile veterinary unit. Now, that vehicle, we saw a glimpse of it on the film earlier, so that vehicle was completely funded and kitted out by those of you that attended our 2018 event, as well as a generous contribution from the Jean Sainsbury Animal Welfare Trust and our patron, Karen Lawrence Rowe. So we were able to provide that vehicle that is not only saving lives of wildlife on Ol Pejeta, but it's also going to work in the local communities and treating domestic animals. So it's building bridges between wildlife conservation, our conservancies, and the local communities. As well as some of our work with Ol Pejeta, we also fund the Eyes in the Sky program. So we fund local pilot Siseko Mainji. He takes his plane up and is a visual deterrent to poachers, and more recently we've been focusing a lot more on state-of-the-art drone technology as well. And I heard the R's earlier. Our Rhino Orphanage, Zululand Rhino Orphanage, we've rescued 14 rhinos that would have died because their mums, most of the mums would have been poached. Some of them was due to drought, that they couldn't feed the calves. And of those rescued, 11 have now been returned to the wild. So that's a fantastic statistic. And Leko here and the other orphans that are still at the orphanage will also be returned back into the wild once they're big enough, strong enough, and old enough. We also have helped keep on patrol the Black Mambas, the first all-female anti-poaching unit in South Africa, and they operate in the Kruger National Park, so the home to the biggest single population of rhino on the world. And of course, Ol Pejeta's black rhino population. So Ol Pejeta is home to the largest population of eastern black rhino in the world. And as well as the last two northern white rhinos and southern white rhino too. So it's the only place in the world where you can see northern white rhino, southern white rhino, and black rhino. And an incredible statistic is on Ol Pejeta, they've not lost a single rhino to poaching since 2017. which I think is a testament to the dedicated and passionate rangers who 24 hours a day are on patrol, making sure that the Conservancy is safe. So I think for those rangers that are working now and not able to be with us, they deserve a big round of applause. Now, from the bottom of my heart, I'm absolutely delighted that we can share with you, whether you're here in London or you're joining us from around the world watching online, or if you're watching even on replay, our 10-year celebrations today. But the most important part of this Global Gala for Rhinos is the fact that we're trying to raise funds that allows us to continue our work with Ol Pejeta in the field. Now, I truly understand that these are difficult times that we're living in, and it's affecting all of us in one way or another. But please, my appeal tonight is please dig as deep as you possibly can to help us, help rhinos, to help our planet, and to create a future. Now, the good news is that we've made it very easy for you to part with your money this evening. We have a live auction, and Jonty Herden will be with us later. Jonty, thank you for giving up your time for us again this evening. So we have some amazing art, and you can see the 3 pieces of art behind me here in the live auction. I'm thrilled that we're supported again by Karen Lawrence Rowe and her piece here, and Gary Hodges, whose piece is on the end there. Gary and Lawrence are long-time contributors for us, and as you'll see later, Karen's actually work that she's donated to us has helped raise over £83,000 to conservation. So I think Karen deserves a big round of applause as well. Now, Karen and Gary are joined in our auction this year by Emma Swift, fresh from winning the prestigious David Shepherd Wildlife Artist of the Year Animal Behaviour Award. So thank you, Emma, for joining us. Now, Karen and Emma are with us here in London, and they'll be joining Jonty on stage later. Gary sends his apologies. He's currently in Brazil getting inspiration for future pieces of artwork. He told me he was going to try and change his flights, but I think he failed. So in addition to our live auction, we're also running a silent auction at the moment. Now, we have some amazing pieces. For those of you in London, you may have seen many of them in the reception rooms at the back. It's very easy to take part, whether you're here in London or whether you're watching around the world. Many of you will be familiar with QR codes. You should be able to see on your screens now. There's a few examples of the art and a QR code, which is that black and white checkered box. You simply take your phone out, turn the camera on, point it at the QR code, click the little button that will say open in browser or open in Chrome, and it'll open up and take you straight to our auction site. And there you'll be able to browse all of the items. And if you are watching around the world and you're interested in bidding in the live auction items, then I'd urge you to log on as soon as possible, because you will need to register. And I'd hate you to miss the opportunity to go home with some of our live auction items when I know you'll really want to. Now, the live auction closes at 9:30 on Sunday, so if you've got a bit of time to go and look at that and make your bids before then. Now, as well as all these amazing auction items, we're also running a prize draw. Now, for me, I find this incredibly exciting. For just £10, you can have the opportunity to name your own baby rhino on Ol Pejeta, home of the biggest population of eastern black rhino in the world. So imagine how special that would be. So for me, I'm not allowed to enter, unfortunately, or I would definitely be entering a few times. But we didn't stop there. As well as naming your own baby rhino, we added the opportunity to go on safari at Ol Pejeta and have the opportunity to go and try and find the rhino, your rhino, that you named. So it's £10 to enter, so for £10, all of that. But we will be drawing the prize draw about 8:15 UK time on the stage here. So you haven't got long, so please get ordering now. We also, if you're in London, we have many stands for you to go and browse and have a look around. We'd love to talk to you about how your support can help us continue our work for the next 10 years and beyond. So please do take the opportunity to come and talk to us. Now, this isn't just the 10th year of Helping Rhinos. As I mentioned earlier, it's also the 10th year of our partnership with Ol Pejeta. And it's an absolute honor for me to partner with a place that I first fell in love with in 2011 when I visited, so before Helping Rhinos started. And I went there specifically just to see rhinos. And I can promise you it's the best place in the world to go and see rhinos. You'll have amazing sightings of both black and white rhinos. And I'm incredibly proud to stand here today and say, over the years, we've raised over £500,000 to support the critical work of Ol Pejeta, keeping their black rhinos safe, and also the groundbreaking scientific research being done to try and bring the northern white rhinos back from the brink of extinction. And in a little bit, you'll hear more from Professor Thomas Hildebrandt, who's the project lead of the biorescue program, looking at that sort of how do we use IVF to try and bring northern white rhinos back from the brink. So many of you will know that over the years I've shared this stage with Richard Vine, the CEO of Ol Pejeta. So you also may know Richard moved on to new challenges last year. So I'm delighted that Ol Pejeta's new CEO, Justin Heath, is going to be talking to us very shortly. Justin couldn't be with us in London, unfortunately. But by the power of technology, he will soon be appearing on your screens. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know Justin even better and continue to work with him and his team over the next 10 years and beyond. So next I'm going to play a short film, and thanks again to Megan for helping us out with that film. So a short film focusing just on our partnership with Ol Pejeta, and then immediately after that, Justin will appear on your screens and give you all the latest news from Ol Pejeta. So I'll close now and say a big thank you, wherever you are watching us, whether it's here in London or from, I hear we have many countries tuned in from around the world. So a big thank you. Enjoy the rest of World Rhino Day and enjoy the rest of the Global Gala for Rhinos.
Have been working together in partnership for over 10 years, both in the field and around the world. In that time, with your help, we have raised over £500,000 to support the largest population of eastern black rhino in the world and the last known northern white rhinos on the planet. There have been many highs and the occasional low. In March 2018, the world cried alongside us when Sudan, the last male northern white rhino, passed away of natural causes. Sudan was perhaps the best known rhino in the world and a true ambassador for his species. We must make sure that Sudan's story, being the last of his kind, is never repeated.
Biorescue is a conservation project from a totally new dimension. Such approach was never done. We have to be so radical implementing stem cell technology and extremely advanced assisted reproduction because we have only 2 females left and both females are infertile. So it is really impossible to use a classical conservation approach because practically the northern white rhino is extinct. But with this approach, we were already capable to generate many first-grade embryos, which then could be transplanted into southern white rhinos. We have a very fair chance to establish a population which is healthy from the gene aspect, which can be reintroduced to the wild. And we have to be successful in the next years.
As well as Najin and Fatu, Ol Pejeta is home to 160 critically endangered black rhino and 41 southern white rhino. Since 2012, 127 black rhino and 25 southern white rhino calves have been born. They have not lost a single rhino to poachers since 2017, and you have played your part in making that possible. You've helped us keep rangers on patrol and implement new technology to keep the rhinos of Ol Pejeta safe. options, we have supported the anti-poaching dogs.
I was in year 2012, and that time we have 3 dogs. Now we have more than 9 dogs.
Like these dogs are doing great work, especially inside here and outside the wild. So they have reduced poaching.
We work together with the Kenya government, especially Kenya Wildlife Service and the Kenya Police. Yeah, we have a lot of arrests using the dogs. Within this year, we have more than 5 raping cases and murder cases. Cattle theft, we have more than 6 cases.
And we've also purchased and kitted out the Ol Pejeta mobile veterinary unit.
We are pleased that Helping Rhinos raise funds to purchase a veterinary vehicle. We have been able to reach more than 500 animals that required emergency veterinary care and others that required routine wildlife management practices, including elephant, the rhino, both black and white, including the northern white rhino.
Thanks to your support, together we have achieved so much over the last 10 years. Just the beginning. Rhinos still face a very real threat from poachers, but there is another threat that is just as big: the destruction of their habitat. Ol Pejeta is part of the Lycopia-wide program to create more land for wildlife, and in particular, the black rhino. The Mutara Conservation Area is key to the long-term success of the black rhino breeding program on Ol Pejeta.
We are losing more and more land that was historically wildlife areas. At the moment, Ol Pejeta, we are way past our carrying capacity. It's becoming evident that we need more space for these rhinos. Mutara Conservation Area is quite ideal. We have 2 corridors from Ol Pejeta Conservancy that wildlife moves straight from there to Mutara Conservation Area. This expansion project is really important because it ensures that the black rhinos thrive not only now but also in the coming years.
So looking back over the last 10 years, it makes me incredibly proud to see what we've achieved over that decade. We couldn't have achieved what we've done without the support from all around the world. You know, we have people that are adopting our rhinos and sponsoring, supporting us in our events that we hold. So I have to give a big thank you to everyone that supported us throughout those 10 years. I mean, without doubt, we wouldn't be here today having the impact we are in protecting rhinos in their natural habitat if it wasn't for those people around the world who get behind us.
Please keep supporting Helping Rhinos and Ol Pejeta Conservancy so that we can continue to build rhino strongholds whilst protecting wildlife, wild spaces, and supporting our local communities.
Well, good evening, and thank you for attending the Global Gala for Rhinos. My name is Justin Heath. I'm the CEO of Ol Pejeta. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you tonight in London, but here we are on Ol Pejeta. It's looking amazing. After 2 years of drought, we finally had some significant rain in the last 10 days. There's a lovely green flush, and we're all smiling a lot more. So I hope it's a great evening for you all. I am delighted to be a new member of the Ol Pejeta team. My background is in conservation and commerce. I spent many, many years in North and South America building a business there. But when my kids were born, I decided it was time to come home and make a difference here. And I don't think there's any better place than Ol Pej to make that difference. In the last 10 years, they've had some fantastic accomplishments. Right now, the black rhino population is the biggest single population in East and Central Africa. We're at 162 animals. We've also had 14 births this year. Our buffalo population has increased from 1,500 to 4,000. Our lion population from 34 to 87. And a lot of that is thanks to you and your generosity and your donations. So thank you very, very much for what you've sent from England to us here in Kenya. And your donations do make a big difference. The last 2 years have been some of our hardest years in our 100-year-old history. And prior to COVID, we were making about 70% of our income through tourism. That dried up overnight, and a combination of your generosity and our cash reserves pulled us through, and we're now rebuilding, trying to get back on a firmer footing. Tourism has bounced back, but we've definitely got an interim period where we're going to need all the help we can get as we reset. So thank you for being there, and thank you for everything you've done for us in the past. I hope you don't mind if we take another minute just to look at what's next, using the lens of conservation and community, which is at the core of who we are and what we do. From a conservation perspective, our work on the northern white rhinos continues, and some good news is that the last embryo pickup, or ovum pickup, we harvested 21 eggs and managed to create 5 embryos from that. We're exceptionally lucky to work with cutting-edge scientists, institutions all over Europe, and the Ol Pejeta and KWS teams. So that has continued to go from strength to strength. With our black rhino population, we hope to keep growing it at 6% a year. In order to do that, we're going to have to find more space. If you look at the map and on the screen now, you'll see that every black dot is a settlement within 2 kilometers of our boundary. And you'll see that 95% of our boundary is now heavily settled. We're working extremely hard with the Kenya government to secure 20,000 acres to our north and to put some rhino on there. And that additional habitat is what will allow us to continue that population growth rate that we've happily experienced for so long. From a community perspective, we continue to issue scholarships. We're hoping to issue 200 this year to high school students. We also continue to build classrooms, support infrastructure, provide water, and a very exciting project we've been involved with for a number of years is the Africa Ruggedized Education System, which gives children access to offline content in remote areas and provides 20 schools and a server, 20 computers and a server to all these schools. We've got a major project we're running in the next couple of years, which is the implementation of our water master plan. We think it'll cost us about $4.5 million. But the reality is we've always relied on our rivers to provide all the water we need for our rhino. Right now, those main rivers have dried up. They dried up in March and April and May. March, April, May this year. They dried up again in July, August. They'll flow now for a short while with this rain, but then they're going to dry again. And without water, we can't conserve anything. So a major priority for us going forward is securing the infrastructure, securing all our rainwater catchment, and making sure that we're able to keep doing our good work by providing the most basic of everything all life on Earth needs, which is water. So some really exciting projects continuing for us. And in 10 years' time, we hope that we will have continued to have a significant impact as we have had in the past. So please enjoy your evening. Thank you for listening. And when you get a chance, please come and visit us, because this place truly is spectacular. Thank you.
Yep, so a big thank you to Justin, and it was nice to actually see some of Ol Pejeta today. Next, I'm going to welcome on stage Amy Turner. Amy's someone we've been working with Helping Rhinos for a while. I'm not going to steal her thunder, but her journey from elite sportsperson to conservationist is one that I think is fascinating. So, Amy.
Simon, thank you very much for that introduction. It is an absolute pleasure to be here tonight. The previous speakers and incredible films have highlighted the effectiveness of frontline conservation and the phenomenal individuals involved. And following on from that, I'm going to explore whether there is a role for those who want to make a difference, but who cannot, for some reason or other, they cannot be on the front line. So before I go on, as Simon mentioned, I'm a former Team GB athlete and represented Great Britain for 7 years as a sprint kayaker. A couple of years ago, I moved over to the corporate world, and I now work for a large telecommunications company. I won't tell you the name at the very real risk of being slightly heckled about a dodgy mobile phone bill. But joking aside, I'm very fortunate that the company has a very forward-looking attitude to planetary challenges, and one part of my role is using technology for good through the United Nations Young Innovator Programme. But my contribution to conservation really all started when I co-founded a conservation podcast called This Wildlife in 2020. And unusually, this idea came to me during my athletic days. Now, elite sport really is a little bit like the Hunger Games. And as an attempt to beat my competitors, I used to analyse and try and learn from individuals who seemed to be thriving in unique and sometimes harsh environments. And somehow I found myself reading about those protecting our planet. And through this process, it was absolutely clear that the attitudes and approaches by those on the front line of conservation were absolutely world-class. In fact, when I came across a story about the all-female anti-poaching unit, the Black Mambas in South Africa, not only did I think they could teach the British Olympic team a thing or two about dealing with high-pressured and sometimes unexpected scenarios, but there are also clear similarities between their relatively fast ranger training programme and the renowned British Olympic process of talent acceleration that got me into kayaking in the first place. And given the exceptional nature of these stories, it was obvious that they needed a wider audience. And I wanted to try and make a small difference by creating a conservation-specific podcast. So, David and I started with no followers and no idea if we can do any justice to our guests. Our motivation for starting was underpinned by the notion that doing something was better than doing nothing. And to be honest, the first 10 episodes were extremely hard work due to our complete lack of experience in the production of anything to do with media or producing podcasts. But we must have been getting something right, because it was around the time that we spoke with Simon about his unique journey and phenomenal journey to starting Helping Rhinos that we hit that transition point where instead of us contacting speakers to come on the podcast, we had some inbound offers from high-profile individuals wanting to be interviewed. So we were really relieved that there was a need for a platform like this. And today, we are 45 episodes on, with more to come. The podcast is listened to in over 50 countries, and Simon now has a following in Mongolia. And the stories told by our guests were so fascinating and the achievements so great that I started doing that dangerous thing of daydreaming about going out onto the front lines myself. Well, it was only a few months ago on a trails walk in Kruger that I started to realise that being on the front line of conservation was potentially not an avenue I should go down. So on the second day of this trails walk, we woke up from a relatively rough night because our camp was quite literally under siege from not one, but 7 honey badgers. Our guides, Ronnie and Joe, former anti-poaching rangers, stayed up all night, chasing the badgers out of camp, only 2 minutes later to be chased back into camp by the badgers. So I think everyone breathed a sigh of relief when the sun rose and peace returned. Well, peace certainly did return, but not for long. So we left camp and started our walk. And from the viewpoint of a kopje, we saw an extremely large and vocal elephant herd running up and down a dry riverbed. And Ronnie said that they were probably being chased by a bull elephant, and they weren't overly impressed about this. But in the same breath, Ronnie also mentioned that we were going to cross over the dry riverbed, albeit much further up, away from the elephants. It's going to be absolutely fine. Well, to cut a long story short, 30 minutes later, we reached the dry riverbed, scrambled down the incredibly steep bank, and within seconds of stepping onto the sand, it soon became apparent that we had absolutely skirted around the female elephant herd, but we had also successfully intercepted the culprit of the chaos that morning, because standing there, 4 meters up, on the other side of the riverbank, was the biggest bull elephant I have ever seen. And when this clearly unimpressed bull elephant decided to join us in the narrow, dry riverbed, the mantra, "Whatever you do, don't run," that I had been repeating round and round in my head was instantly replaced with, "Run, and for God's sake, don't be the slowest." Now, in my darkest days of being an athlete, I often wondered what my training was for. But having managed to successfully break the land speed record up the side of the riverbank that day, I can honestly say that the fruits of my labour were worth every painful minute. So there I found myself, quivering behind a bush at the top of the slope, watching David, Ronnie and Joe slowly and calmly retreat. Well, actually, Ronnie was not quite so calm. In fact, he'd started yelling a few words at the elephant, and let's just say I added a bit of Afrikaans to my vocabulary that day, none of which I dare to repeat to this audience. But obviously those words were clearly understood by the elephant because he was now sauntering off down the dry riverbed, having made his point that we had completely ruined his breakfast. And at the same time, the embarrassment of having legged it was also settling over me. And I had the obvious realization that my contribution to conservation would not be in the form of being on the front line for my sake and everyone else's. And the other key lesson I learned that day was that sometimes luck is just on your side, because as Ronnie and Joe said over the campfire that evening, we can all just be thankful that that wasn't a black rhino, because even our negotiation skills may not have been up to the challenge. So to finish, my contribution to conservation is never going to be on the front line, but I am still totally committed to trying to make a difference, and you can see why from what we've just seen. Earlier I mentioned I work for a telecommunications company that is very forward-looking in respect to environmental concerns. And together with an exceptionally talented team, the company has agreed to support my proposal to develop a technology solution aimed at mitigating human-wildlife conflict across rural Africa. And the truth is, everyone has a part to play in conservation, even thousands of miles away from the African continent. And just being here tonight is such a powerful step in the right direction. We are all aware that conservation requires funding. The more funding people get on the ground, the more these projects can do. And with that in mind, there are 3 different ways, as Simon mentioned, but it's probably worth just reiterating this. There are 3 different ways that you can contribute right here, right now. Bid in the live auction, enter that incredible prize draw, or simply donate to Helping Rhinos. So my message would be, bid super high for those things that you want. It really is going to be worth it. In fact, just bid for things that you don't want either. It really is for an unbelievably critical cause. And with that, I wish you all the best on your own conservation journeys. Thank you.
Amy, thank you. That was fascinating to hear your tales of elephants, and probably lucky it wasn't rhinos.
I know.
But I wanted to take this opportunity to make a very special announcement. So I mentioned Amy's been working with us for a number of years on various different aspects. And so tonight I'm thrilled to announce that Amy is our latest ambassador to Helping Rhinos. So welcome to the team, Amy.
Thank you so much. It's a real privilege.
Okay, so next we heard from him earlier, and now Kadiali Kouate is going to come back onto stage to play a piece for us. So Kadiali comes from a long line of hereditary musicians dated back to the 13th century. And today he's going to be playing a traditional West African instrument called the kora. So we'll just give him a second to get everything set up again. But whenever you're ready, Kadiali, take it away. Kadiali, thank you. That was amazing. Thank you very much. And I should take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Jessica Danheiser as well, who introduced us to Kadiali and had him playing as you came in this evening, and then that amazing piece. Okay, we've talked a lot about the funds we need to raise. Should we have a look and see how much we've raised so far? Let's have a look at our first totalizer of the evening, if we can. Whoa. Brilliant. Thank you to everybody who has been bidding in the auction so far. That's amazing. And we haven't even started the auction yet, so I'm sure we'll do well at least double that. Just set some expectations. And our target. Okay, very good. Next up. Now, I mentioned earlier that we would have had, next up, while we're talking of raising funds, it's a reminder that don't forget to bid in the prize draw. You probably only have about 15 to 20 minutes left. In fact, you only have 50 minutes left to buy your tickets. So get buying them now if you're wanting to have a chance of winning that chance to name a baby rhino, go on safari. Now, in case you weren't here earlier and you missed it, unfortunately, Darryl Pleasance and his anti-poaching dogs can't be with us this evening. But I am excited to share with you featuring Samuel Mutisia, who is the head of wildlife conservation on Ol Pejeta. This amazing film that really showcases the work of Ol Pejeta and everything that we're trying to raise funds for. So, so please enjoy this overview of Ol Pejeta.
I remember a time myself and the team made very solid decisions about an animal we had rescued, hand-raised, and released in the wild. Became aggressive like any other black rhino. But one time she was caught in a snare. And it was at night, so you can't immobilize at night. And you can't do anything, and we knew if we left her at night, she would die. The tension that it's only occur between you and the animal, we had to put a Land Cruiser between her and ourselves, and the snare had to be taken by somebody underneath the Land Cruiser. So you can imagine where and how far the keys to the Land Cruiser had to be kept, so that not a single driver would want to drive off with somebody underneath the car. Ol Pejeta is in Laikipia, one of the 47 counties in Kenya, and is located in between the Aberdares and Mount Kenya. Ol Pejeta is very critical to the survival of the black rhinos, particularly the Eastern African black rhino, which is a subspecies of the black rhino. And it is as such because we have the largest breeding population in East and Central Africa. The black rhino is classified under the IUCN as critically endangered. And actually the drivers of loss for the black rhino are sort of the same across Africa. And in Kenya in particular, the years between 1970, 60, 70, we had about 20,000 strong. But by the close of 1980s, 1990, we had less than 400 left, which represents a 98% decline. So you can imagine 20,000 to 400. And that was actually as a result of almost industrial scale kind of hunting and poaching. I think the biggest fallacy that has existed and that driven the population downwards is the fact that it has medicinal value in it. There is no medicine in it, there's no value in that. And we know very well that the rhino horn is made of keratin. It's basically like your hairs bunched together, fingernails, and so on and so forth. And so around about 1989 is when the government made the decision to consolidate this population to enhance its breeding performance and protection, to curb the wanton killing and hunting and poaching. And actually that was the turnaround for rhino conservation in Kenya.
At the moment, we have got 9 dogs. They are just for rhino protection. We train them as a puppy. When they are 3-month-old, we start introducing them how to track. Rhino population here in Ol Pejeta is increasing because of the help of our dogs. Because once you hear any gunshot within Ol Pejeta, our state-by team is ready with the canine team to go where the incident has happened, and we have been most of the time we have been successful with our mission because of the help of our dog.
The recovery program for the northern white rhino was highly hinged or dependent on the fact that Nine and Fatu were going to reproduce naturally. They were brought to Kenya for the purposes of recovering the species. Unfortunately, there were issues to do with their reproductive parts. And then, of course, Nine also had issues with her hind legs, could not carry pregnancy to full term. But the real blow came when the younger of the two males died naturally back in the year 2014. And then we were left with Sudan, who was by that time almost actually probably slightly past 40, which means it was too old and so could not naturally mate with the two females. So that meant that actually, as much as Sudan was available, it was almost the end of the species.
For Sudan, I was the main caretaker of him. He started feeling a lot of pain, and we tried as much as we could to do medication on him, but he didn't respond well.
Sudan had arthritis, and we instituted treatment for that arthritis up to the point where we could not allow him to walk anymore, and we made the decision to euthanize him, put him to sleep.
It was really a sad news by the time when he was euthanized. It really shook the whole world, and we all grieved. He was so friend to many people worldwide.
And so the death of Sudan also, who had become part of our lives, part of the caregivers' lives on a day-to-day basis, was symbolic of many things. The end of the line for that particular species, it was quite emotional, emotive.
And it gave us an opportunity for some reflections on what really we need to do as a society in as far as protecting wildlife is concerned. Do we need to allow another species, for example, the black rhino, to also undergo the same kind of thing?
Ol Pejeta is fenced. It's got 120 kilometers of solar-powered electric fence. One of the things that I think is critical for us as Ol Pejeta is to ensure that the reciting intervals of the rhinos is very high. We need to see every rhino within a space of 3 to 4 days.
So what we are doing here is just a bit of brief, and we'll get from the commander in charge to deploy us in various locations tonight. Yeah. Others will be south, north, west, in various locations. But me and my comrade over there will go to the northern white bomber. Yes, in Glosia, that is. Yeah. It's we who are protecting the only two standing northern white rhinos. So it's kind of a privilege. We watch them from a distance to make sure that we don't interfere. We are one fraternity to make sure that we advocate, we are the voice for the voiceless animals, to make sure that our animals and vegetation, they're in good.
I think generally the Conservancy benefits quite a lot as a result of choosing the black rhino as the flagship species. The intensity of monitoring also benefits other wildlife, because these rangers, as much as they are deployed to protect rhinos, they are equally monitoring and managing other populations of wildlife. We have recovery program not only for the rhinos, such as the northern white rhino recovery program or the black rhino recovery program, but we have other species that are equally endangered. It's important actually not to operate in isolation, but rather in unison. You can actually undertake other commercial or other activities that are geared towards revenue generation for the purposes of redeployment in community development or conservation without necessarily harming the system. And by so doing, you become relevant both to the system, to the government, and to the communities. Majority of the workforce that we have in the Conservancy come from the local communities. So they are our suppliers. But at the same time also, we recognize that any breach of fence by some of these rogue wildlife, a few individuals among them, causes human-wildlife conflict. And so sometimes our existence is also a threat to their livelihood. So you realize that then we've got to work closely with them to ensure that any breach of fence, for example, does not damage. When we are working together, we are stronger. We are both a learning point. We are an education center creating awareness of the plight facing some of the species, the need to conserve environment. We are also a leisure destination. We have accommodation facilities here on Ol Pejeta, vibrant and very nice. We have species that can only be said to be unique to this country. We host a chimp sanctuary, and we are the only ones in Kenya that have such a facility. We hold the largest Boran genetics, which is a very special hardy type of cattle that is able to utilize very rank grass and convert that to beef efficiently. We are attractive to the government because, unlike most other conservation areas, we are still also chipping in both to food security from wheat farming as well as taxes. There is a passion and a form of relationship that develops between the caregivers, caretakers, protection teams of the rhino and other species that is, as I said, beyond just salary. Because when you look at what it takes sometimes to protect them, there's a little bit of an extra thing that you have to do than the call of duty.
Lola, 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 Lola.
The first thing we did was to call out their name, and the ears pricked, and I knew we've got her. And we used one of our favorite delicacies back then, which is lucerne. We beat it downwind so she could smell it, and suddenly her behavior changed. It's on a lot of relying on your hunch and teamwork and coordination. And I believe we saved her life. You can support the conservation work of black rhinos and all species Ol Pejeta works to protect in the following ways. Come join us and visit Ol Pejeta Conservancy, where you can view the largest population of the endangered black rhinos in Africa, the last two northern white rhinos, along with the big five. We are open all year round with daily game drives, restaurants, and overnight stays. You can also support us with a donation and help us ensure no other species are lost forever.
Okay, just very quickly, you have 1 minute left for the prize draw. So if you haven't entered yet, you've got 1 minute left to enter the prize draw. Okay, so I'm joined on stage now by Hetal Ganatra, who is the CEO of Ol Pejeta here in the UK. So Hetal, welcome to Global Gala for Rhinos.
Thank you very much, Simon. Thank you for hosting this event and also for inviting me on stage today. I'd also like to say that we couldn't be more grateful to everyone who has made the journey to come here in person and also for joining us online from wherever you are in the globe. We're very grateful, and I hope you're enjoying the evening.
So Hetal, how, sorry, I cut off your applause there. So Hetal, we've been talking a lot about the 10 years of the partnership between Helping Rhinos and Ol Pejeta. How important are those relationships to a conservancy, an organization like Ol Pejeta?
I'm going to start with a little bit of a story because it's very, very important to us. Ol Pejeta introduced about 20 black rhinos in the early 1990s. And we heard Samuel talk about how the population had decreased in the 80s. So it was a turning point for us at that point. 3 decades on, we have now, going a bit further than what we saw on the screen there, 165 black rhinos, 43 southern white rhinos, and the 2 last northern white rhinos on the planet. We started with 20,000 acres, we're now at 90,000 acres. And 3 decades it took us to get there, but actually you've joined us as Helping Rhinos, and all of you, over the last decade. So that partnership is very important to us. And I think together we can do a lot more, and there is a lot more to do.
Cool. I think, yeah, together we must dream and imagine what the next 30 years will look like and what we will have achieved then. So Hedl, we hear a lot about climate change. You know, we experience these extreme weather conditions. Now I know Ol Pejeta has been suffering from a severe drought for the last few years, but share with us a little bit more around what those sort of extreme weather conditions, these sort of droughts really mean on the ground at Ol Pejeta.
Yeah, good question. I was in Kenya on Ol Pejeta in April, and it was heartbreaking to be there because literally the landscape was bone dry. The dams did not have a drop of water. The rivers had no water in there. As I said, it was very heartbreaking. And I've never seen it like that. And I was speaking to Samuel, and he said exactly the same thing. What that's meant for us is that we're facing erratic weather conditions, from extreme rain some years and extreme droughts like this. And it's having an impact on animals. We're actually seeing that we then get sudden bouts of rain. And that heavy rain then washes away quite quickly. We see, you know, the grass growing, etc., but it's short-lived. And it washes away crops, it washes away other things. It doesn't settle on the ground. And I think the worst thing about that is that sudden rain also has an impact on the animals, because we've actually see some of them catch pneumonia lately. And we've lost a significant population of our Grevy's zebras and some of the buffaloes. So that sort of erratic weather pattern is having a huge impact, not only on animals, but also human-wildlife conflict. Ol Pejeta receives a lot of migratory animals coming in from the north, and especially because the north is very dry at the moment. So the elephants migrate into Ol Pejeta, where we have water troughs, and then from there they move on to other parts, and that basically means going into the communities and looking for food, water, and destroying crops. So our response has been, our teams, Animal Control Unit, have been out there responding to immense number of calls from the community to try and support them to move the wildlife back. Secondly, we're also having to supplement feed the northern white rhinos and some of the endangered species in the predator-free zones. You probably saw from the video with Samuel there, it was very dry. There was hardly any grass, and they need to receive supplementary feeding. So what are we going to do? In the short term, we'll have to continue doing that, supplementary feeding, supporting the communities, trying to find ways to deter animals from entering into communities. Our borehole pumps are overworking. As a result, they're breaking down, so repair works, fence repairs, etc. But in the long term, we heard Justin say as well, we're actually developing a water master plan, which is looking at water resource management, catchment areas, more dams. We're also looking at natural resource management, because we rely on diesel generators, but we're trying to solarize the conservancy completely as well. Plant more trees, sequester more carbon, all sorts of different initiatives.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. It's interesting, isn't it? I think it's just a classic example of what we're seeing and hearing, I think, throughout the world. But all of that said, it sounds quite doom and gloom. What do you think the future holds for wild spaces like Ol Pejeta and the wildlife that need these wild spaces to thrive and remain on our planet?
Absolutely. I think we're all seeing this, and that, you know, nature and wild spaces are important for all life on Earth. And if I think about Ol Pejeta, we're a rhino conservation organization. Whilst we have the big five, we have everything else, we are rhino conservation. When you do rhino conservation, you're conserving an umbrella species. What that basically means is that you are conserving everything under it. So that means developing habitats, developing ecosystems that enable us to, or enable all species to thrive, from the small little beetles or the big ants to the fauna and flora all across. And that's really important, and I think we've got to understand that we've got to keep doing this. I think I'm really pleased to say going forward what we're looking at is one of our biggest challenges at the moment is we've reached our carrying capacity. I think we heard Samuel say that as well. According to IUCN and recommended number of rhinos you should have on Ol Pejeta, based on the amount of land that we have, we've reached our carrying capacity. So we have, for the last few years, been trying to develop the habitat and ecosystem of neighboring Mutara Conservation Area. Now, this is a 20,000 acre area. We're nearly there, not too far off. We've seen the habitats start to thrive. We need to translocate an initial founder population there very soon. But that's not it. Mutara is a key area for us for long-term connectivity. Ol Pejeta cannot be an island of conservation. We've got to be able to connect to the rest of the landscape. Mutara, as we saw from the map on Justin's video, is the only place we can connect to the rest of the landscape. So it's a key strategic piece for us. And why is it important for connectivity? Is because those elephants need to move. If we confine them to just Ol Pejeta, would probably destroy all the trees there. So animals need to migrate across the land. We're working very closely with all the community and private conservancies within Laikipia through the Laikipia Conservancies Association. So there's about 22 conservancies that have come together to try and align our missions and our goals and to ensure that we work with them to be relevant to the county, to the community, and to Kenya as well. Yeah, so I think, the positive is there's lots we're doing, and there's a lot we can do together. So continue supporting us so that we can achieve a lot more.
Ethel, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. And try and dig deep as well. We need your support. Thank you.
Ethel, thank you. Right, I'm going to move swiftly on. We are running a few minutes late, but not as late as we have done in the past, so I'll take that as a positive. But I'm going to ask Jonty to come up on the stage now, and we're going to draw the prize draw, and then we're going to get straight into the auction. So if you're watching online and you are interested in the live auction, now is your chance to, again, go onto our live auction site and make sure that you've registered and you're ready to bid. So, Jonty, welcome.
Thank you very much. Very nice to be here again. And welcome to all of you. It's so nice to see so many faces. And welcome you looking on your tablets or your smartphones or your computers around the world. It's so important that you've joined us as well. So everyone's welcome. So Simon, tell us about this prize draw that we're about you're about to pull out the hat, or this your tablet hat.
My tablet hat.
Yes.
Well, that was the plan, Jonty. We've practiced this so many times. And right on cue, my iPad's frozen.
Your iPad's frozen. Okay.
So I'm now looking for some help from somebody who also has access to this at the moment. Could you believe it? Where's Victoria? Victoria? Victoria, you in the back end of the system? Luckily, yeah. we had a plan B in mind.
We do need a hat, don't we, really? Perhaps
we do.
Anyway, while Simon's doing that, perhaps I can just let you focus a wee bit on the live auction lots. We've got 3 fabulous pieces of art, which Simon's talked about, but we've also got 3 safari experiences as well to sell. 2 or most of them, if not all of them, have been uniquely put together for tonight. So I hope that you guys in the room and also out there in the ether joining us wants to bid. Now, if you wanted to bid, we're back in the room, are we, Simon? That's good. If you want to bid,
Victoria, it's fine.
Particularly those of you wanting to bid that are not here in London or not here in this room, it's really important that you log on, and we've got all your details before you can bid. I also want to stress as well that if you are bidding online, we really want you to bid online. I don't want to sell it to everybody in this room. I want to sell it to you guys as well, is the fact that there's a bit of a delay. There's a bit of a time delay. So Simon and I will probably do a dance act or something in between the bids being taken. So also forgive me in the room, but it's so important, it's so important that I raise as much money as possible in these 6 fabulous lots. So Simon, are we ready?
We are ready. I'm going to press the button, and the button is pressed. The wheel is turning. I have a name.
We have a name.
And the winner of the prize draw to name your own baby rhino and a trip to safari is Charles Graham.
Charles.
So I know Charles is in the room. Congratulations, Charles.
Where is Charles? Where are you? Wave. You should be singing and dancing. Where are you, Charles? Simon, would you like to offer it as an auction prize?
I could do, yeah, we could do it. It's kind of the same as lot 6. Thank you, Charles.
Simon, could you stand up? We want to give you a massive round of applause. Please stand up, Simon.
Charles.
Charles, sorry. Charles. Thank you so much. Well, should we get on and sell that straight away? Can we do that?
Let's do it.
Before we run anything else? So that probably excludes those folk on tablets, so just bear with us just a second. But explain to everyone in the room that maybe not have bid on this lot. Can we explain clearly what I'm going to sell?
Okay, so what this is there's 2 elements to this then.
Yeah.
So the first thing is you get to name your own baby rhino. So we've heard a lot about the rhino population on Ol Pejeta. This is you get your chance to choose a name that rhino will have for the rest of its life.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to go and stay at Ol Pejeta. It does exclude international travel, I should just say, but it's your chance to go and stay at Ol Pejeta and have a chance to go and look for your baby rhino. On top of that, you get all of the else that you get in terms of what an amazing safari experience on Ol Pejeta is.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's brilliant. Right. Well, who will give me a couple of grand for this lot? How many people will go? It's 2 people. Is it 2 people to go?
2 people on a 3-night safari.
3-night safari. Who will bid me £2,000 for this? £2,000 straight away. Thank you very much. At 2,000. Is it 2.5 from anyone? This is worth an awful lot more than that. £2,000 only for the lady in the middle. Is it 2.5 at the back? Thank you very much. 2.5. 3,000. 3,000. 3.5. 3.5. 4,000. 3.5 only at 3,500. 4,000. Surely it's got to be worth 4,000. Are we in at 4,000? 3.5 at the very back. 3,500 at the very back. To name your rhino and go out to Ol Pejeta, and it just sounds amazing. 3,500. It's got to be worth £4,000. Thank you very much. At £4,000. Is it 4,500? £4,000. Here in the corner at £4,000. At £4,000 only. At £4,000. I will sell at £4,000. Any further bid? Can you put your hand up for me? Waved at me again. At £4,000. Thank you very much indeed. I'm going to sell at £4,000. Sold! And thank you very much indeed, Charles. Thank you for being patient online. That's absolutely amazing. So let's get on and sell lot 1 if we can. So there we go, lot 1 in the corner, which is Heat and Dust, a unique artwork by Gary Hodges. Now, Gary is well known in this genre. As we've heard from Simon already, he's out in the field at the moment looking for his new subjects to draw. So this is Heat and Dust. It's a limited edition print which was sold out in 1995, but this is no ordinary print because Gary has spent more than 6 hours adding thousands of carefully placed pencil strokes to make it a unique drawing. So this is a unique item here, and I can start the bidding at £1,000. At £1,000. We already have a bid of £1,000. Would anyone bid 1,100? £1,100. Who will bid me £1,100? I have a bid of £1,000 already, £1,000. Who will give me 1,100 for this? 1,100. 1,100, thank you very much. Is any bid 1,200? Who will bid me 1,200? At 1,200, who will bid me £1,200? There's a bit of a delay, there's a bit of a time delay on the internet here. In fact, there's a 20-second delay, So it means that Simon and I can go out and have a drink in between bids. Are you all right there, Simon?
I'm marvellous.
I'm looking at the screen, there's no bids. At £1,100 only. At £1,100, I will sell at £1,100. Is there any further bid at £1,100? £1,200. Thank you very much, Richard. £1,200. At £1,200. Is it £1,300 from anyone? £1,200 in the front. At £1,200 only. At £1,200. I will sell at £1,200. One of these pictures sold for over £6,000 at a charity auction. That's how cheap this is at the moment. At £1,200 only. At £1,200 only, I will sell. At £1,200. Is there any further bids? £1,300. Thank you very much. At £1,300. £1,300. £1,400 is the next bid. £1,300 only. At £1,300. £1,400 I am looking for. At £1,300, I will sell at £1,300. We're in at £1,400. £1,400, thank you, Richard, at £1,400. Is it £1,500? £1,400 in the front, at £1,400. I will sell at £1,400. Is any further bids? At £1,400. 15, that's more like it, at 15. You obviously know one another, so you can have a fight. £1,400. £1,500, Richard, at £1,500. You know you want it. £1,500. At £1,500. Will you do £1,500? £1,500. That's more like it. At £1,500. You know where I'm going at 16. Will you do £1,600? £1,500 at £1,500 at the moment. At £1,500. £1,600, please. One more. 1,600, will you do 1,600? That's more like it, at £1,600. Thank you very much, at £1,600. 17, at £1,600 I have it, £1,600. Any further bids? At £1,600 I will sell this amazing pencil enhanced print at £1,600. Any further bids? I will sell. I'm looking at my screens. The screens are quiet at the moment. It's yours at the moment at £1,600. Is there any further bids? I'm looking at my screens just to make sure there's no bids. At £1,600 at the moment. Any further bids? It's all yours at £1,600. Thank you so much. Great. Got off to a great start. So next lot up is one of the first of our videos that I want you to have a look at. So before I sell this lot, please take a look at the screen. Wow, how amazing does that look? Just incredible. So this is a 3-night luxury safari. Now, Simon, this is a new part of Ol Pejeta.
It's a new camp. It's the newest camp. It only opened in June of this year, so it's only just opened.
And it's very exclusive as well,
It's very exclusive. I think I'm right to say, Hedl, it's one of the most exclusive camps on Ol Pejeta, right? So, by Abercrombie and Kent. So, yeah, it's I mean, Ol Pejeta's phenomenal, I have to say, but if you take this particular camp as well, it just adds something different to that as well, on top of all the other amazing things like seeing the Northern White Rhinos that you'll be able to do.
Sounds incredible. So all your meals are included, meals and drinks. You've got 2 daily shared game activities. Guests will also have the opportunity to visit the last, of course, 2 Northern White Rhinos. And the lucky winners can either enjoy riding horses with rhinos or being shown how the Ol Pejeta Canine Dog Unit works as well. So there's a lot of unique experiences out there for you guys, the ones that win this fabulous lot. So this is for 3 nights, safari for 2. All you've got to do is get yourselves out there. And also, this is for a very short, limited period of time as well. So this is from October to June of next year only. And that's the only time that we can offer this fabulous lot for you. So it's for the next 10 months only that you can use this lot. So this is for 3 nights. So who will bid me £3,000 for this lot? Who will bid me £3,000? It's got to be worth £3,000. We're straight in at 3,000. Thank you very much. At £3,000. Is it 3.5 from anyone? £3,000 only at £3,000. Is it 3,500 from anyone? £3,000. 3,500, thank you very much, at 3,500. Is it 4,000? It's got to be worth 4,000. If you bid 3,000, it's got to be worth 4,000. Shall I make it 3.8 for you? Let's make it 3.8. Let's make it cheap for you. 3.8. Who will bid me 4,000? Who will bid me 4,000? It's yours at the moment. You're off to Kenya at the moment. How exciting is that? At £3,800. At £3,800. At 3,000, I will sell at £3,800. Let me just check that I can sell it. I can sell it just at £3,800. I can just sneak you in there at 3,008. Who will bid me £4,000? Who will bid me £4,000 for this amazing experience? £4,000 I'm looking for. At 3,008, I will sell at £3,800. Is there any further bids? I'm looking at the screens. The screens are quiet at the moment. That means you and I are off to the pub while we wait for the screens to change. But it's yours at 3,800. Any further bids? At £3,800. I will sell at £3,800. She's looking very excited. At £3,800. Any further bids? You're off to Kenya. Congratulations. Next lot, would you please welcome to the stage the incredibly talented, the artist Emma Swift. Emma, please come up to the stage. So Emma, welcome, and welcome to join us here. Yeah, we've got a microphone all to yourself. Now, I've been looking at this beautiful painting here. It's absolutely stunning. I love the vibrancy of colors, you know, the combination of, we've got 3 very contrasting pictures here, but this for me really sort of stands out because of its extraordinary color. Is this something that you're used to working in this colorway, or is it something that you've chosen specially for this particular picture?
No, I always, somehow, color just seems to find its way into my paintings. So
okay.
I always set out to paint the kind of grey rhino, or the grey elephant, but somehow the colours just, I get too excited, and the colours just creep in, and I'm many miles away from Africa, but I'm just so inspired by the country and the warmth and the animals that I think somehow the colour just creeps in. I don't know, it just seems to happen.
So the subject matter is that we've got the 2 remaining northern white rhinos.
Yes.
But I think snuck in the background, is that Sudan at the background there?
That is Sudan at the back. And I think it can be quite overwhelming, the whole story about what's happening to the rhinos, and especially these 2 girls who are the remaining northern white rhinos. But the legacy of the whole story, I didn't want to get caught up in the sadness. It's kind of about the legacy, and it's about the hope, and it's about the wonderful work that Ol Pejeta are doing. So I've included Sudan. It seemed cruel to leave him out, because he's so much part of the story. So I've included the trees, which are kind of in the logo of Ol Pejeta. And I've also included the monkeys, which I've never been to Ol Pejeta one day, but watching videos on social media and keeping track of all the things that are going on at Ol Pejeta, it's, I just saw these little monkeys, opportunistic, and just pinching the odd carrot here and there, and everything's part of it. So whether it's including birds or monkeys, it's like a whole story that goes on. It's not just the key.
You've got the contrast between these beautiful, majestic beasts and the cheeky monkeys in the corner.
I couldn't resist putting them in. I couldn't resist it.
I think it's great. Can we give Emma a huge round of applause for putting this together? Emma, thank you very much. Thank you. I'll take that from you. Thank you very much. So, here we go. What's it worth? £3,000-4,000? Who will give me £1,500 to start off with? Who will be £1,500 for this beautiful picture? £1,500. Who will give me £1,000? Who will give me £1,000? £1,000. £1,000 at the back. Thank you very much. At 1,000. Is it 1,200 from anyone? £100. Thank you very much. £1,200. Is it 1,500? £1,500. Thank you very much. At £1,500. Is it £1,800 from anyone? Is it £1,800? At £1,500. At the £1,500 at the back. At £1,500. I will sell at £1,500. It's worth an awful lot more than that. At £1,500 at the very back. Have we got a bid here, Simon? That's a bid for? That's been and gone. Yes. Yeah. Okay. At £1,500. At £1,500. It's yours right to the very back at £1,500. The screen is flashing at £1,500, but it's yours at the moment at £1,500. This beautiful, beautiful, is it acrylic or it is oil? It's even better. Love it. Oil on canvas. Absolutely stunning. At £1,500. At £1,500 only. £1,800. Thank you very much. Lovely. Welcome. You're joining us. £1,800. Thank you very much. At £1,800. Just make it to 2,000. It's worth every penny of 2,000. £2,000. It has to be worth £2,000. At £1,800 in the corner there. At £1,800 at the back. Thank you very much for your bid. At £1,800. It's got to be worth £2,000. Was it £1,800 at the moment? I will sell at £1,800. Is there any further bid? At £1,800, £2,000 will be the next bid. At £1,800, I will therefore sell at £1,800. We've got already, I've got another bid of come in at £1,800. You're too late, so if you can go up to 2,000, if you're on screen there, if you can bid £2,000, you're in. I have a bid at £1,800. So I think we'll just wait to see whether we can get you up to 2,000. Not that I don't want you to get the picture, but at the moment, it's yours in the corner at £1,800. I'm looking for a bid on the screen here. If you are wanting to bid online, I'm looking for £2,000. I'm looking for, where are we?
Bridget Goldfarb.
We've got £1,800 in the room.
So I guess if Bridget Goldfarb wants to bid 2,000...
Yes, it's Bridget. If you want to bid 2,000, I'm waiting for you to up your bid to 2,000 if I can. I'm sorry that I'm waiting for the pause, but this is the delay that we have. This is shown, this is broadcast right around the world, so we've got a 20-second delay for people to bid. So, Bridget, are you up there for 2,000? I'm looking at my screen. Bridget, can you do £2,000?
Yeah, she's bid 2,000.
She's bid 2,000? £2,000 we have. Technology works. 2-2. 2-2 in the room at 2002. Bridget, 2-4 we want. 2-2 at the moment. Thank you very much. At 2-2. 2-4 is the next bid, Bridget. Will you do 2-4? 2-4 we're looking for, Bridget. Get those fingers tapping away on your tablet as speedily as possible. 2-4, please, Bridget. It's 2-2 at the moment in the room at 2,200. Is it coming up on your screen there, Simon? Yep.
Not yet.
Not yet. Bridget, we're waiting for you. at 2,200. 2,400 is the next bid. Anyone in the room want to bid 2,400? Anybody really want to bid at 2,400? It's 2,200 at the moment in the corner. I will sell, therefore, at 2,200. Is there any further bid at 2,200? I am selling at 2,200. Any further bids? I'm looking at my screen. It's all yours at 2,200. Thank you very much. That's brilliant. And Emma, thank you very much indeed. That's really, really lovely. Emma, thank you very much. Next lot is an immersive conservation experience for 1 week for 2 people at Ol Pejeta Conservancy. So Simon, this is not sitting in a deck chair with a gin and tonic in hand. This is something completely different, isn't it?
Well, you might sit in a deck chair, gin and tonic in hand, but this is all about getting your hands dirty.
Yeah.
It's very different to the other safari experiences we've been talking about tonight, John T. This is where you go and stay at the stables camp lodge at Ol Pejeta, and you actually go out, as you can see with some of these pictures, you actually go out with the rangers. You actually go and get your hands dirty in the Northern White Rhino enclosure as the rangers put them out in the morning. You actually go and help out on the reserve doing conservation projects. So it's for anyone who wants to experience what goes on in terms of making a conservancy run and operate and getting involved in it. I have to say, that was back in 2010 how I first started getting involved in conservation, was doing one of these type of experiences. So,
and I have 2 sons who've done exactly this, so I've got some sense of how exciting it was, and they came back sort of buzzing, completely buzzing. And it's so important for all of us to get our hands, to see it in real life, and it's an amazing opportunity. So this is a fantastic opportunity. This is for 2 people for a week to help out in the conservation projects at Ol Pejeta. So who will bid me, where we'll start with this, £3,000. Who will bid me £3,000? Any bid at £3,000? Thank you very much. At £3,000 it is. At £3,000. Is it 3.5 for anyone? Let me just have a look at 3.5. At 3.5.
I've got 4-1.
I've got 4-1. 4-1. All right. 4.5 is the next bid. Who will bid me 4.5? At 4.5 is the next bid. I will sell at 4,000. I will sell at 4,000. I will sell.
4.5.
4.5. 4,500. Is it 5 from anyone? 5,000. 5,000. Would anybody bid 5,000? Richard, do you want to get your hands dirty? At £5,000, I'm looking.
5,000.
5,000! Whoa! Wow. Amazing, at 5,000. And I think I've actually got another bid here at, is that right, at 5,000 as well? We've got 2 bids? Or we just got the 1 bid at the moment at 5,000? I'm just going to check with you.
No, that's just...
No. Okay.
Just...
At 5,000.
No, sorry, we have got 2. You're right, we have got 2.
I'll just confirm that with you.
Yeah.
So I can sell this, and therefore I can sell it twice, would that be?
You can sell it twice.
I can sell it twice at 5,000.
If no one else wants to go higher.
Unless somebody else wants to bid, I might be able to sell this twice so we can raise instantly £10,000. How exciting would that be? How exciting would that be? Would anyone like to bid up at £5,000? Who would like to bid at £5,000? Is it 5.5 from anyone? 5.5 is the next bid. I've got 2 bids, therefore. I'm correct, I'm tell you something, 2 bids at £5,000. That means we can raise £10,000 on 1 lot. How exciting would that be? Is anybody wanting to bid before I bang the hammer down at £5,500? Any want to bid? Your Excellency, you just twitched your ear there. That was... £5,500. I'm going to sell at £5,000 twice. Any further bids, I'm going to sell because this is really exciting at £5,000 for 2, which is like 4 people to go out for a week's experience at £5,000. I'm going to sell. Any further bids? We have just raised £10,000. How about that?
Very good, very good. Well done.
Ah, how exciting is that? That's really wonderful. So, next lot is a very, very special lot. She's a very special friend or an ambassador to this charity. Before we do, please take a look at the video. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute privilege and pleasure to welcome to the stage, invite to the stage, the incredible talent that is Karen Lawrence Rowe. Great to see you, Karen. It's been a long time. So it's been 3 years since we've last seen you here?
Yes, I think it has.
Wow.
I've been stuck in Africa or COVID.
And again, it's been my privilege to sell some of your fantastic works that you've kindly donated to this great cause. And we've now learned that you've raised in excess of £80,000, which is an amazing feat, ladies and gentlemen, amazing feat.
Even that surprised me when I heard that.
But I think the story of this picture that you've painted here is incredible. Tell me about this. Can you delve a little bit more into the depth of the removal of the rhino and what that meant to you? And was that an emotional thing to do?
Well, it was, and this is probably one of the more difficult rhino paintings I've ever attempted. First of all, because painting a sunrise or a sunset is always a really dangerous thing, because sometimes they can look really naff. Hope it's okay. But it was I think that Federico's photograph was so astounding that you saw. And first of all, I put a toro, who you saw I think in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the calf came in. There's sort of 6 rhinos in this painting. But when I got to the black rhino, and it was standing there, just one rhino, first of all, the title came to me. It was like, the painting is called One. And it was the thought that, what if we got to the state that we had with Sudan, that there was only one black rhino? And as I said, it's a silent plea that we never get to that stage.
And that's the reason why we call it One. Yeah.
And that's why it's called One.
And before I sell it, just how many hours or days has gone into this canvas?
This was a good 2 months of changing my mind and questioning myself and my ability, probably 6 hours a day. I used to do 8 or 9, but getting on a bit now, folks. But yeah, no, this took a long time, and because it's sort of it's very fine. Some of my work is quite free, so there's a lot of work in it.
Wow, and a lot of love and a lot of passion. Yeah. Karen, thank you so much.
Okay.
That's brilliant. So, we've got to sell this astonishing picture here, named One, which has taken Karen so long and a lot of thought and a lot of ache and pain to get to where we got to, or where she ended up. And I think she's done an astounding job, and I think it's to your talent and your generosity that we have it here on the stage, and I'm delighted to put it up for sale now. So, without any further ado, I think this is worth well in excess of £10,000, but let's make it cheap for everyone. Let's start at £6,000. Who will bid me £6,000? At £6,000. Who will bid me £6,000 for this? Thank you very much. At 6. Is it 7 now? £7,000. £7,000. Thank you very much. Is it £8,000? £8,000. £9,000. £9,000. Thank you very much. £9,000. At £9,000. We do 10. £10,000. New bidder in the front. 10,000. £10,000. Is it 11,000 from anyone? At £10,000. Is it 11,000 from anyone? I'm now going to look at the screens at £11,000. The £11,000 is the next bid. This is serious stuff at £10,000. At £10,000 only, and I will sell at £10,000. Is it £11,000 from anyone? I'm looking for you. I'm staring it down at your screens. I'm staring it down your computer lens right now. Will you bid? Anybody want to bid £11,000? It's 10,000 at the moment. I'm a patient man. I'm happy to, as I said, take Richard off for a drink while you decide to bid. No, I'm not going to do that. But 11,000 is the next bid. £11,000 is the next bid. Otherwise, I will sell at 11. We're back in. Thank you very much. At 11,000. Thank you. 11,000. Is it 12,000? 11,000. Are we sure? It will look very nice in Goring, I can tell you. 11,000 it is at the back. 11,000. Is it 12 from anyone? £11,000. At £12,000 is the next bid. I'm looking for £12,000. Would you like to come and take a closer look? £11,000. At £11,000, I will sell at £11,000. £11,000. I am looking earnestly around the room. I'm looking at my screens as well. It's 11,000. 12 is the next bid. £12,000 I'm looking for. Yours at 11,000 at the moment. At £11,000, I will sell at £11,000. £11,000, I will sell at £11,000. Is there any further bid at £11,000? I shall just pause a few moments forgive me, I'm just looking at the screens, at £11,000. It's yours at the moment at £11,000. I will sell at £11,000. I think we've had enough time at 11,000. I'm going to sell at £11,000. Is there any further bid at £11,000? I'm about to sell. Are we sure? Are we very sure? It's £11,000 at the moment. Are we sure? Are we convinced? £11,000. I will sell at £11,000. Any further bids? It's all yours at 11,000. Congratulations. Woo! Thank you so much. Wonderful. So, next lot, which is the last lot for this evening, just take a look at this. How exciting is that? Wow. So this is an exclusive safari for two, which has been tailored especially for tonight, as I alluded to earlier. So there you will spend 3 nights at the beautiful Pelican House that has a deck overlooking Pelican Dam. Another 2 nights at the luxurious Sweetwaters Serena tented camp, which sounds amazing as well. So again, you've got the experience of checking out all the black rhino population and the 2 remaining northern white rhinos. You've also got the opportunity again to see the Ol Pejeta canine dogs and participate in lion tracking. Just sounds incredible. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this, Simon, before I sell?
I guess only, I've stayed at Pelican House, and it's an incredible place. You see the dining table set up there, but just through there is your bedroom. So you open your curtains, and you start looking, and you overlook Pelican Dam. And we had elephants playing in there, we had buffalo in there, we had giraffe come down and drink. So it's the most amazing place to just chill, relax, and immerse yourself in African nature and wildlife.
Sounds very exciting. So, who will bid me £4,000 for this lot? £4,000 only. At £4,000, thank you very much. At 4.5 I have. Is it 5,000? 4.5 in the corner. At 4,500. 4,500. 5,000 is the next bid. £5,000 I have at £5,000. At 5,000. Is it 5.5? £5,000 in front at £5,000. At £5,000, there's amazing experience at £5,000. £5,000, 5.5 is the next bid. 5.5 I have at 5.5. 5,500 at 5,500. 5,500 at 6,000. It's got to be worth it. Can we do one more at 6,000? 6,000, that's more like it. Give that lady a round of applause. Digging deep at 6,000. 6,000. So it's 6.5?
It is.
6,500 at 6.5. At 6.5. Would you do 7? She's run out of steam at 7,000. I will sell at 7,000. At 7,000. 6.5. At 6,500. That's right. 6,500. At 6,500. I'll tell you what we can do. Can we sell this twice? Can we do this 6,000 for this lady? As she bid 6,000?
Yeah.
Can we do that? Let's sell it to you for 6,000 and on screen for 6,000, which means we have raised £12,000. Thank you very much. Is that all right? Wow, how exciting is that? That's absolutely brilliant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the live auction element. But as this is the 10th anniversary of this extraordinary charity, I thought it was just the right opportunity for everyone to show your appreciation for this amazing man, Simon Jones. He truly is an inspirational man. I am involved in lots of charity auctions, but he is one of my favorite characters, or favorite men of any charity, because I think he's humble, he's a driver, he will make change, and the world is a better place for people like him. Now, I know I've done this before, but I think it's an opportune moment as well, because we're all here to support this incredible charity. But not only does it help rhinos, it helps the ecosystem, and it helps the local population, and we're here to affect change. And there's been a lot of time when we've been silent, we've been stuck at home, and now's the opportunity to contribute as much as we can. So I just thought it would be, just do an ask, to ask the audience here, and sorry for you guys on the screens watching, but I can only participate in people in this room here. But does anybody would just like to put up their hand now and say, I'm going to give £1,000 to Helping Rhinos? Can anyone do that now? Can anyone put up their hands and say, yeah, it's me? Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much. Thank you, madam. That's £2,000. That's what, give them a huge round of applause, please. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who could do 1,000? Okay.
Thank you so much. Can I just say, Liz up there is going to come and accost you now with a little device to make it very easy to make your donation. Thank you.
Let's halve it then. Can anyone do 500? 500 here and 500 here. Thank you very much. Give these two people a round of applause. 500.
Would you mind just keeping your, would you mind if you bid, just keep your hands kind of up a little bit so Liz can find you? That would be fun.
Can anyone else do 500? Can anyone do £500? Thank you very much indeed. That's two. Chris, thank you very much. 500, thank you very much. Another 1,000. That's wonderful. Okay, well, this is my last goal, so let's halve it again. Let's do 250. Who can do 250? £250. Who could put up their hand now and say, I will donate £250? Can anyone do that? Can anyone do that? You don't feel embarrassed if you can't. It's not a problem. Not a problem. I just thought I'd ask. Can anyone do £250 before we leave this auditorium? No, I think we're done. But I think we've done incredibly well. And please give yourselves a massive round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you for all you guys watching around the world. Please clink your gin and tonic glasses together and celebrate with us wherever you are, or take your sunshades out and have enjoy the sunshine wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for your time. And I shall hand you back to Simon.
Thank you so much. Okay, just those that put their hands up to donate now, if you wouldn't mind just hitting to this corner here at the end, and that'll make it much easier for Liz to find you. Thank you so much. Maybe just before we finish, let's look at the totalizer and see where we got up to. And the good news is that those bids that Jonty just did, we can't get into the totalizer, so we have that to add on to this as well. And we also have anything else that's going to come through the silent auction between now and Sunday. So just a reminder to check out the live auction. But that's an incredible total. Thank you so much for your support.
just say, I did forget to say that the silent auction closes at 9 o'clock tomorrow, British Summer Time. So there is still time to go online.
9:30.
Sorry, 9:30 even.
Sunday.
Sunday. I've got all that wrong. It's not tomorrow at all, is it? Sunday. Forgive me. Forgive me. So it's Sunday, 9:30, British Summer Time. The silent auction closes. There's still quite a lot of lots that don't have any bids on them at all. So have a look. Contribute the best way you can. There's some great experiences, there's some fantastic art, there's jewellery, there's all sorts of things that you can still bid on. So have a go. Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much.
Cool, very much. Thank you. Okay, so that does end the main part of the event here in London, and it does end the online part of the event. If you are in London and you'd like to join us in the reception room, come and enjoy the virtual reality headsets. Just come and have some fun, enjoy a drink with us, and we look forward to chatting to you there. But thank you again, formally for joining us tonight and down the years, and hopefully, I'm sure, in the future as well. So thank you very much.